Baest, Danish for Beast. This is a band that some people might already remember from 2018, making wonderful and strong debut album. And now it's time for the second assault. This one's called Venenum. So here we have it. Already signed to Century Media, so really strong big start for this Danish group. Those of you who are familiar might remember that this is some very kind of a traditional death metal, but really groundbreaking sound, because the whole production is just violent and really strong, really distinctive, but kind of making a tribute of sorts to Swedish death metal 1990s. So what makes Baest interesting now? Because it's all been done and so forth. Well, let's first take a look at this cover once again. Here is the group and also the track list. And one might say this cover reminds so many earlier death metal covers. One band especially comes to my mind, and that one is Autopsy. Why? Well, do your homework. So here's the cover once again. This is a digipack, a little bit reflections coming there. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of insight. Here's some text and then a skull, an animal skull. What could be more brutal? Well, a human skull, obviously. Maybe even baby human. So as you can see, this is one about tormenting, tempting, about hell, and so forth. One could even say this is related to some classic poems about hell and its sub-levels. As you can see, this is also featuring some of the cool photos, live photos with the lyrics, and I must say, it makes quite a nice looking layout. And as you can pretty much maybe even see or feel, this is kind of a better paper quality, so no pennies have been spared when this one has put into print. I don't know about you guys, but to me this kind of a inlay with photos and whatnot reminds me of the Australian band Airborne. So kind of a rock and roll feeling, not being too serious, not too grim dark and so forth. Obviously not everybody's cup of tea, but then again, whatever it is. So once again, here is Venenum. To be honest, this one is very much like the first album. So now it lacks the kind of a, how to say it? It lacks the surprise moment. There is no momentum anymore in that sense. You only get to surprise people once, and then it's gonna either be something to be expected, or you have to change your pattern. Now, in order to kind of a surprise the second time, you need to change your game plan. You need to do something else. And that is unfortunately not what Venenum is doing. Instead, they are pretty much trying to use the momentum, the kind of leverage what the first album was all about. Heavy, good sounding, violent, yet classic death metal. On the good side is, it still works. There is no killer tracks. There is no absolute magnificent catchiness, so to say, with this album, because it is kind of like this is part 2 of the first album. And by no means it's a bad thing as such, but one could even say this is not kind of a progress from where the band left off with the earlier ones, or earlier one. If you're wondering why Baest and basically unknown band managed to go all the way to Century Media with their first debut album, you actually have to listen to it. Then again, you might just start with this one and the result wouldn't be that different. So these are like twin brothers or sisters. Once you have seen or heard the first one, you pretty know what to expect from the other one. It's not a bad thing, obviously. This is a strong album, but it seems like it's lacking something. So this is a good one, but is it a great one? No, in my opinion. I do think, however, that Baest need to change something, to add something, maybe even remove something, maybe take a one step back before going forward again. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because as such, there are no flaws. This is kind of a flawless album. If this was the first album, I would be probably saying the very same things what I was saying about the first one. So once again, for Baest fans, really nicely done an album. But is it enough? Do you expect something more? Do you expect change? Do you require it? I don't know. All you can say about it, but if you missed it, doesn't matter which way you start, Baest is still a good band. Go see them live if you have. I missed that chance, unfortunately, the first time I was given, so I'm gonna try to fix it the next time. Good album, good band, nevertheless, from Denmark. There you have it. Thanks.